So we are through 9 weeks of the NFL season. Let's call it the midway point. Not exact, but I think now we're at a point in the season where we know things, right? It's always, the first month is always kind of people getting their footing, and another month to kind of even things out. And now most teams have played 8 games, some have played 9 games, and I think we know a lot more than we did a month ago. However, the season is a little tricky from what I see, and the number one question being, is anyone actually good? I'm not sure who the good teams are. I know based on record and comparatively to some of the really stinky teams who looks good on paper, but do you actually trust any of these teams to be there winning big games in January when it counts? No one's standing out from the crowd for me right now in terms of, yes, these guys are very good quality football team and are a force to be reckoned with when January rolls around. So I want to do a quick run through of the standings and give a little comment on every team and talk about those who are probably going to be in the playoffs. We'll note them and the trust level as we move into the back half of the season. Let's start in the AFC with the champs, the New England Patriots. Obviously, just on pedigree alone, they are still the team to beat in the AFC. 6-2 atop the AFC East. Would get a bye right now for sure. And, you know, Brady, Belichick, the defense has been really shaky. Gronk has been, in and out of the lineup. They just don't feel as dominant as they should. Going into the year, I thought they were going to be potentially historic offense and really, Brady had potential to break records, and it's just not happening. And it happens in doses, which leads me to believe that it's still there somewhere. So they, and this isn't, hashtag analysis, they have the potential to emerge and be, a month from now, wow, the Patriots really woke up. Gronk is healthy. Cooks is finally clicking in. They have a real rotation in the backfield. Hogan is back healthy, and just everything. The defense is, most importantly, the defense is starting to step up and gel, and now they are acting like the champions that they are, and they are dropping 40 points a game, because that still is in the range of outcomes here. So Patriots probably still the favorite to come out of the AFC. Just the way things are today, I don't necessarily trust them more than the other 2 or 3 competitors in the AFC. The Bills, surprisingly, 5-3 and messing around for a wild card spot. Let's say they sneak into the playoffs in that wild card spot. Do you trust them on the road at KC or Pitt week 1? Me neither. Miami, 4-4. Probably the worst 4-4 team I've ever seen. They are just not good. I don't know how they have 4 wins. The Jets, 4-5, shocking the world as they were potentially looking at 0-16. There were bets you could make. Are the Jets going to win a game? And as a former / pseudo Jet fan, as my fantasy football acumen has taken front seat, my regular team fandom has rapidly declined, but the Jets are still in that position. I wanted them to potentially go 0-16 to get the first pick in the draft. Now they are going to be hovering around 500 and pick, in that 11 through 15 slot. Not the same deal. No franchise QB in their future, unfortunately, once again for us Jet fans. AFC North, Steelers, 6-2. A solid 6-2. I mean, they have obviously all the talent in the world on offense. Their defense is coming together and really nicely. They have a good offensive line. They have the pieces. I'm nervous about Roethlisberger. From what I've seen from him this year, it just hasn't been the same. He hasn't been that impressive whatsoever. And they're winning despite him, not because of him, and that's a problem. However, in this AFC, what do they really have to contend with? They're going to win their division just because Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland are not really showing much of anything. Baltimore at 4-5. That is an ugly 4-5 team. Flacco has been atrocious this year, absolutely atrocious. They have a solid defense. They don't have many skilled playmakers on their offense. 4-5 for the Baltimore Ravens just shows how weak of a conference this is. Cincinnati Bengals 3-5. Talent-wise, they're a little better than that. I think that could easily be 5-3, and I can see them working themselves into the wild card discussion as the season moves along. But again, not, especially with Andy Dalton, not someone you're going to trust come January. Cleveland Browns 0-8, nothing to see here. AFC South, Tennessee Titans 5-3, and the Jacksonville Jaguars 5-3. One of the surprises of the year thus far. Tennessee, I thought, would win this division heading into the year. In a weird way, they've been a disappointing 5-3. I thought they were going to be better than they are, yet their record is still atop their division. So it looks like Tennessee and Jacksonville, let's talk about them together. Jacksonville, arguably the best defense in the league right now. The corners are top-notch with Ramsey and Bouye, and nice pass rush. Fournette is the real deal when he's on the field. Are they a team that you trust in January to go on the road to Pitt or KC week 1? Probably not going to be betting them to win that game. However, I like what I'm seeing. You know, you like the team coming together. I like the smash mouth style that they're trying to play. They're using Bortles as a game manager and not letting him mess things up. Tennessee, though, I think Mariota's been shaky, and they're still 5-3. I think second half of the season, he emerges and gets back to the level that he was playing at the end of last year, and they become a real deal. I see them winning this division and ending up a solid 10-6, even 11-5, and Jacksonville flirting with the wild card. Houston 3-5 with Deshaun Watson going down. What a shame. You think they're better than 3-5, but they've had a tough schedule. They've lost a lot of close games, and now he's done, and now they are banking on Tom Savage, and now J.J. Watt is out for the last 3 weeks, so they are out of the race. And Indianapolis Colts, Luck gone for the year. Serious trouble. What's going on in that organization? Andrew, we hope you get back nice and healthy for next year. Moving out west, Kansas City Chiefs started off looking pretty dominant and have come a little bit back down to earth in the last month here or so. Now sitting atop the West at 6-3, still the favorites to win that division. They probably will, because the competition is not playing all that well right now, and they got out to a pretty solid lead. So it's going to be tough to catch them, I think, because they're a solid football team, well coached. Alex Smith is playing his best football ever. With Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, and Travis Kelce, they have playmakers at all three positions on the field on offense. And with Justin Houston and obviously their pass rush, Eric Berry going down hurts, but Marcus Peters is still there. They have playmakers. They have good coaching. They're going to win the West, and they are a factor in the Super Bowl race. However, if you asked everyone a month ago, they were the favorite to come out of the AFC, and that just does not seem. I never bought that, and I still don't. They'll be in the mix. I could see them in the AFC Championship game, but do I think they are the team to beat or to make it to Minnesota in February? Not quite. Oakland Raiders 4-5. They were supposed to win this division, or at least challenge for it, and only 2 games behind KC. I guess they're still in the race to catch them, but I haven't been impressed with what I've seen. The Marshawn Lynch signing up until this week with 2 touchdowns has been a complete waste. Amari Cooper has been, I don't know what, but I know it's hurt because I have him on my most important fantasy team, and that has been a debacle. Carr has not really emerged and taken that next step. Their offensive line is supposed to be one of the best in the leagues, but has not shown as such. But 4-5, potential for a second half turnaround there. San Diego, or rather Los Angeles Chargers, they are disappointing me thus far. However, they are starting to pick up some steam here. I think they have a lot of talent going into the year. I believe on the preview on this podcast, I said that they could end up the surprise team in the AFC Championship game. Obviously, they started in such a hole that's going to be difficult, but I love Bosa and Ingram combination up front. They have great corners. Rivers can still sling it. Melvin Gordon is awesome. Keenan Allen is awesome. They just have pieces in place, and I wish they were 5-3 instead of 3-5, because I think they're a team that can make some noise in the second half, but might be too big of a hole to start. And the Denver Broncos 3-5 now with Osweiler. Defense is still good, but maybe not as good. They're not sure what's going on in the running back situation. I just don't get good vibes out of Denver these days. I think they might be smoking a little too much of that Colorado herb. Moving on to the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles, best record in football, 8-1. Carson Wentz, your midway point MVP. Who would have thought that back in August? Not this guy. Quality defense. Wentz is playing extremely well. Do they even have playmakers on offense? I mean, they're making guys like Nelson Aguilar are making plays for them, and Corey Clement, and now they got Jay Ajayi, and Alshon Jeffrey. We know is good. He had a bunch of tough matchups to start the year, and I think he's going to have a big second half. So the Eagles, pretty good. Looks like they're on their way to a bye. Do I think that they are the team to beat in the NFC? I mean, because of their record and the way they're playing, sure. But with Jason Peters going down for the year, you can really throw against them. I don't know. Again, back to the top with the trust. I don't trust the Eagles in January to win a big game, especially Carson Wentz's first rodeo. Dallas Cowboys 5-3. I'm impressed with what I've seen from the Cowboys. Obviously, the Ezekiel Elliott thing hanging over their heads all year has been a nuisance, and who knows what's going to go on there. But Dak Prescott he's a pro. He is a pro's pro. I love watching him play. I love his demeanor. I like everything about him. Their defense has improved. I think they right now are in prime position to take one of those 2 wild card spots in the NFC, and they might be some trouble in the playoffs. Who knows what's going to happen with Zeke? But even running backs are the most replaceable asset on an offense, on a football field, really. And between Alfred Morris, Rod Smith, and Darren McFadden, they'll make up 80% of Ezekiel Elliott's talent, and they'll be just fine. Redskins 4-4 and a feisty 4-4. I could see them making some noise in the wild card hunt as well. I think Cousins and their offensive pieces haven't gelled yet. They've sort of underachieved and are still 500, so there's an opportunity there to really improve in the second half. New York Giants 1-7. Really disappointing. I'm not a Giant fan, but I thought they were going to be a contender for this division, certainly heading into this year. I thought their defense would be one of the more dominant ones. It has been really disappointing, and then once Odell went down, their offense has fallen apart, and they are looking towards next year. The question is, if they're picking in the top 3, 5, are they ready to get Eli's heir apparent, or are they married to Eli for the next 3 years or so? NFC North, Minnesota Vikings 6-2. They're pretty good. I wish Bradford didn't go down, because if he didn't, it's really interesting here with the Bradford-Bridgewater situation, right? Bradford gets traded for at the beginning of last year with no practice time when Teddy goes down right at the beginning of the season. And Bradford has a decent year last year. This year he comes in and was playing really well until he hurt his knee once again. And this might be chronic, where he's never going to be the same, and he just never will be an 100% NFL health-wise football player. And that's a shame, because I like their weapons. I like Thielen. I like Diggs a lot. I like Rudolph as a red zone threat. Dalvin Cook going down obviously is killer. He was a special dude. A lot of skills there for the rookie out of Florida State. And Jerick McKinnon, who I've always been a big fan of, has filled in admirably with a little help from Latavius Murray. So their defense is solid too. There are a lot of pieces here on Minnesota, and I just don't know who's going to be the quarterback of their team, in that first, ideally, home playoff game in January. Is it going to be Case Keenum? Is it going to be Teddy Bridgewater? Is it going to be Sam Bradford? I'm really not sure, and the lack of continuity might come back to bite them. Detroit 4-4, Green Bay 4-4. Obviously, Green Bay without Rodgers. Now we see what they look like with Hundley, and it is not pretty. They are not making the playoffs. Detroit, they might sneak in like they did last year. They just kind of always just hang around. Stafford is just good enough. Their defense is not impressive. Marvin Jones, Golden Tate are fine. Their backfield, Theo Riddick, Amir Abdullah are fine. Nothing exciting here, and certainly not a team that I'd be scared to play in January. Chicago Bears 3-5, somewhat feisty 3-5. With Trubisky now taking over about 3 weeks ago, their offense is completely devoid of skilled players besides Jordan Howard. Tariq Cohen is decent, but not that many reps. Wideouts are the worst in the league, and Trubisky as a rookie, they are really trying to protect that defense and offensive line are keeping them active and in games, but no shot at the playoffs for the Bears once again. NFC South, New Orleans Saints 6-2. And about, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I said, either in my brain or out loud to myself, I think, maybe to my 10-month-old son, Saints are going to the Super Bowl. Now that totally contradicts my topic at the beginning of who do I trust, but it was just kind of a gut reaction to something I saw and the way that they've been playing, their defense making plays, them not putting up crazy amount of points even at home because of the way they're playing is just something about it said to me, all right, this team is actually for real. Now that they have players on defense with this rookie Lattimore, who's one of the best corners in the league already, with a really solid running game, now that they got Adrian Peterson out of there, Ingram and Kamara is an incredible 1-2 duo. Breeze has not been doing his normal fantasy routine. However, he's been playing solid ball, and he is someone that you do trust in January. If the Saints are hosting week 1 at home in January, I like their chances to end up in the NFC Championship game, and then there's one game against the Eagles, Seahawks, Dallas, whoever it may be, Vikings, and I think the Saints are going to the Super Bowl. So I'll just throw that out there now. Carolina, 6-3. Interesting team here, right? Like Cam has been all over the board, up and down. McCaffrey has been good but not great. Stewart's been like basically nothing in the running game. They trade Kelvin Benjamin. Funchess sort of emerging. Greg Olsen hurt. I don't know why this team is good at 6-3, but if they were 3-6, I feel like I would say I don't know why this team is bad. So certainly not somebody I trust. I could see the second half of this season for them going, 1-6 or 5-2. I'm not really sure. A lot rests on the shoulders of Cam, and he's been completely inconsistent this year. Atlanta Falcons, 4-4. Super Bowl hangover. Kyle Shanahan leaving town. Just very un-Atlanta-like, or at least un-last year Atlanta-like from what we've seen thus far from the Falcons. It has been unimpressive, to say the least. Do they have it in them to turn things around? Maybe they use the midway point as a way to get Sarkisian's ass in gear and really go back to the playbook from last year and really open it up and let Matt Ryan do his thing, let Julio do his thing, Devonta and Tevin. I mean, those weapons, Sanu I like too, Austin Hooper isn't bad. Like, they have the weapons. Why aren't they scoring 30 a game? I'm not really sure. Tampa Bay, big disappointment, was everyone's darling heading in. They thought they would have a real shot at the NFC South, and Hard Knocks just gets them again. Jameis been hurt all year pretty much and now is out. 2-6, another top 7 or so pick in the NFL draft for the Tampa Bay Bucks. NFC West, finally, Los Angeles Rams, 6-2, one of the surprise turnarounds of the year. Sean McVay might be coach of the year. Very impressive. I thought Jared Goff was not good at football pretty much after 1 year, and I might have been a little hasty and a little too early with that declaration, because he, with some talent around him and with some quality coaching, has turned into at least a serviceable QB in this league. And do I trust Jared Goff to win a playoff game in January? Not really. But the positive here is I think the Rams defense has underperformed thus far, and they're still 6-2. Gurley seems to be doing his thing. Woods, Sammy Watkins has not. You know how I feel about Sammy if you've listened to me talk ever before, and Sammy has not found his groove yet. Once that happens, their offense gets another spike. They're a playoff team, and that is something that you probably wouldn't have thought at the beginning of the year. Seattle Seahawks, 5-3. Russell Wilson is just phenomenal at football. he's just really, really good. And the thing is, like, their running game is weak. I like Baldwin, I like Richardson, I like Lockett, I like Graham, and with Russ controlling it, it seems that they have all the pieces because that defense is always solid, but there's some it factor that's just missing. The Seattle mystique is like not there as it was the last, handful of years. Can they turn it around in the second half and run away with this division at 11-5? Yeah, probably, but I can also see them going 4-4 in the second half of the season and finishing 9-7 and even missing the playoffs and not getting that second wild card spot. Arizona, 4-4.